Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome to the channel for an update on Jasmy. Now, I am seeing some huge warning signs in the chart that I do want to run through with you at this moment in time. This is my first Jasmy video in 7 months. My audience has been asking me non-stop to cover Jasmy, so here it is. Let's dive into this. Now, like I said, I've got a few huge warning signs that I did want to discuss with you. The last time we saw a warning sign of this magnitude, we got basically a 90% drop. Now, I did used to cover Jasmy. My last video on Jasmy was 7 months ago when I warned that a 70% drop was coming, and that is exactly what we saw in the markets, and I'm seeing the same warning signs play out once again. So let's dive right into this. Let's start off on the lower time frames. We'll build our way up talking about bearish divergences, swing failure patterns, Elliott wave theory, oscillators, Jasmy BTC pairs, and even moving on to price targets and a tiny bit of on-chain metrics. So starting off on the 4-hour time frame. Now, if we do jump over to the 4-hour, you can see that we've been in a pretty strong uptrend since the 29th of December 2022, and you can see that we've established this long-running trend line which has been in place since the 6th of January. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, this has been holding strong, strong, strong. We've dipped beneath this a few times, and when we have dipped beneath this, we found a new trend line down here. So on the daily time frame, if I show you this, you can see that we had wicks down here, we had wicks, and right now at this moment in time we are actually falling beneath not only this macro, well I say macro, we're on the 4-hour, this has only been in place since the 6th of January, but we're falling beneath this trend line on the 4-hour, and we're even falling beneath this last line of support which is starting to come in around about 6.7 cent. Now, while we have lost this, while I was checking out the chart, which is why I'm giving you an update today, it looks like this downtrend is only just starting for Jasmy. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, we do actually have some regular bearish divergence. Now, regular bearish divergence happens when you have tops in the price action, you have higher highs, you have higher highs, and when you look at the oscillator, you've got highs, you've got lower highs, and you've got lower highs. So it looks like this bearish divergence is actually what's kicking us to the downside of this price structure that we are currently forming right now. So you might be looking at this on the 4-hour and saying, hey, you know, the RSI has almost bottomed out, so we might actually see a little bit of relief to the upside. It is a possibility that we do come back up and retest around about 6.8, maybe even up to around about the 7 cent region before we do have that nasty move to the downside. But in the higher time frames, the more we look at it, and we'll discuss this, 7 cent quite a lot in this video, the higher time frame oscillators are in complete disagreement that we're going to have a sizable move up. Now, before we discuss that, if we head over to our next chart, looking at the SFP patterns, this is known as a swing failure pattern. So for example, you have a range low established down here. So basically, more or less, we've been trading in I've fat fingered it a bit, but we've been trading in this range. You can see we formed range highs up here and we formed range lows, and we were trading in this range, We broke beneath this range, but this was a swing failure pattern. This was short-lived, and we quickly moved back up to the upside. Now, normally after a range low SFP, you have either a successful move to the upside, flip the range high, or you have a range high SFP and head back down into new range lows. And as you can see, range high was right here. We broke above this range, we broke back down, we back tested it, and now on the 4-hour time frame, or sorry, on the daily time frame, you can actually see that we've magnetized beneath, or not magnetized, we've fallen beneath this level, and on the 4-hour, it looks like we've tried to come up and touch this level, but we are looking extremely weak. And on the 1-hour, we've already retested it, but 4-hour time frame, you know, it's really not looking like we have much room to move up to the upside on this SFP pattern. Now, if I do kind of show you, where we have been getting rejected from, and also, another reason why we might have a slight move to the upside, even though it's personally not what I'm predicting, we just showed you, hey, on the lower time frames, it's possible we have a slight move up, maybe 6.8 cent, maybe 7 cent, although I'm not telling you to long, I'm just saying there's a small chance we have a tiny bounce before an absolute rip to the downside, and I'll give you my price targets for that later, but you can see range lows right here at 7.8 cent. Now, while I don't think we go this high, it is possible, we kind of come up to this range and break down. We're also sitting at a very important level on the EMA ribbons, literally where we are right now, 6.5 cents. So if we start losing 6.5 cent, you can basically kiss the probability of us retesting, these 6.8 and 7 cent levels goodbye. All in all, in the very lower time frames, in the next 1 hour and the next 12 hours, it's possible we have a small bounce, but in the higher time frames, it's looking very clear cut that we will continue the downtrend to the downside. Now, ignore this 90% drop for a second. I will explain how, I've got this and, why it's likely we proceed with another nasty drop. But if we do look at the Elliott wave theory very, very quickly, you can see since we had this huge run up to around about 33 cent, all the way from the previous range lows at 8 cent, you can see since then we've broken down, made a clear 1 wave, a 2 wave, a 3 wave, a 4 wave, which we've just retested the wave 1 lows, and now it looks like we're going to be starting a new wave to the downside, wave 5. I don't believe on the weekly time frame we've quite switched bearish on the Heikin-Ashis. On the daily time frame we have started to flip back bearish for the Heikin-Ashis, and it is looking like we're running out of steam at this moment in time for Jasmy. So all in all, we're retesting these previous range lows around about 7.8 cent from the 28th of June, and it's looking like we want to come down for a wave 5. Once again, I'll give you my specific price target for this Elliott wave theory in just 1 second. If we do head over to the oscillators, this is what I wanted to talk about with the almost 90% drop that we have seen in the markets. Now, this is actually in accordance with the MFI, the money flow index. Previously, by the way, MFI is like the RSI, but it takes into account volume. So we're really looking at how much volume has flown into this market. And we saw a huge volume overextension recently when Jasmy had this bounce from its lows round about 0.027 approximately, all the way up to where we are right now, 0.07, 0.08. With this, you can see the MFI is all the way up at the overbought region at 80, but previously this actually topped out at 88. And when we did pop our head above this trend line at 80, you can see what happened is we proceeded from right here. So if I put a vertical bar, you can see we're looking at this oscillator right here. This topped out at 88, and we proceeded to have almost a 90% drop. So the last time this happened, we had an 88% drop, basically a 90% drop, and we're almost as overextended as we were back in that time period over there. So definitely not looking good whatsoever for Jasmy right now. If we get rid of this, you can see the squeeze momentum indicator. I have to expand this one out, but we are sitting in green at this moment in time. It looks like we've had a reversion pretty much back to the heart line, just over. You can see previous times where this kind of spawned in. This is just where the squeeze momentum indicator spawned in, so it kind of looks a little bit glitchy here. I've never really seen this where you have a huge wick up and then a huge move back down, but nonetheless from the green we did have a sizable move back down. Over here, when we reset momentum after this bounce and we kind of move back into a slightly bullish trajectory, you can see from here we were in green. We've had a nasty move back down to the downside because we're basically just resetting momentum. Over here, once again, this is looking extremely weak, but we have already reset momentum back up to the heart line, and technically squeeze momentum indicator on the weekly time frame is saying that, hey, bulls have temporarily taken control, and because of this, when bears do come back and take over control once again, that it's going to equals a nasty move back down. Now the final oscillator is the stochastic RSI. When this has crossed bearish, this has caused some pretty sizable moves to the downside prior. So over here you can see we crossed bearish, round about here, nasty move back down. Over here you can see we crossed bearish, took a while, but a nasty move back down. And these are all right at like the range tops. So we've had moves, small sizable moves down over here, but I really want to highlight the stock when it basically comes up to 100, and the stochastic RSI quite recently came up to 100 when we were completing this Elliott wave 4 wave, and we're still super overextended round about 95, 94, 96 or so. So the stochastic is also telling us, just like the MFI, that we probably have about a 90% or at least another brutal move back down to the downside to expect. Now, if we move on from here, we just talked about this chart. Like I said, it's been a while since I've covered Jasmy. It kind of did seem like maybe people were less interested in Jasmy when I was covering this about 7 months ago, 10 months ago. A lot of altcoins were popping back here, and I had more requests for other things, so I just kind of stopped covering Jasmy. But like we said, we predicted this a while ago. We predicted this 7 months ago, that a 70% drop was coming for the markets, and you can see from we actually made this video from here 9 cent, and we literally had almost exactly that 70% drop that we predicted before having a bounce. And like I've just said, I'm seeing a lot of signals, oscillators, basic chart patterns, bearish divergences, which are telling me that this same drop is going to happen once again. Now also, just quickly zooming through our last couple of charts, Jasmy BTC, we previously looked at a range low chart, and you can see we have a range low chart on Jasmy BTC, and we've come up and retested this area once again. So 2 times over here, once and twice, this was held as support, and now we flipped it to the downside, and we've got 2 solid retests in this box. So it's also looking like for Jasmy BTC we're getting ready to head back down. If we're looking at the weekly time frame, the EMA ribbons are actually, we've just retested the short-term moving average, and we're starting to head back down. The bull market support bands we're currently just sitting in at this moment in time, so there's a little bit of leniency to the downside, about another 12-13% drop against Bitcoin. But if we do start losing this level, it's very, very likely that we just keep on rocking down to lower levels. The first price target to keep your eyes on is about a 55% drop against Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin drops 35% or so, that is when you can see another 90% drop happen in Jasmy. Now moving on to our price targets, I really like the Fibonacci's for this, mainly because it's kind of hard. It's honestly, for a lot of altcoin videos, it's quite easy. For Bitcoin, it's quite easy to give you solid price targets. With Jasmy, love it or hate it, this project, whether you believe it's a rug pull or not, this chart is basically looking exactly like a rug pull. So whether you think this was an intentional rug pull, whether you just want to look at this chart and say, hey, this was a rug pull, but this is a solid project, that's for you to decide. But this chart is basically a rug pull. So giving an accurate price target when we've just absolutely, nuked into new lows and there's not really data beneath us, unless you're looking at, some dexes, which really not a lot of people are going to be looking at for Jasmy, then it's very hard to give you an accurate price target. But Fibonacci's are your best bet in this situation, because we have previously respected fib pairs that I have looked at. So there's really 2 targets that I've got my eyes on. This, fib from low to high presents a 1.236 here, and this fib from low to high presents a 1.236 down here. And you've also got a psychological level 0.001 down here. So I haven't actually looked at this, but let's see how far of a drop this could potentially take us down to. So the first price target, your first 1.236, would be a 72% drop. Your next 1.236 would be a 78% drop, and your next price target down here, basically right on the psychological level of 0.001, is almost exactly an 85% drop. So Bitcoin would only have to drop another 30%, Jasmy could drop down 84%, and this would please the Fibonacci for the Jasmy BTC to drop down 55% against its Bitcoin pair. So unfortunately, I know it's not what you want to hear, especially I know a lot of people in the altcoin communities won't necessarily like or appreciate, YouTubers giving their honest opinion and saying, hey, I think things are bearish. I'm sure, a lot of people who maybe watch Jasmy videos, maybe watch altcoin videos, are used to YouTubers which clickbait and say Jasmy's about to explode, Jasmy 1000x in the next month. These are the type of videos that get the most amount of views, which is why YouTubers do this. But in general, this is my honest opinion. 7 months ago, I told you a 70% drop was happening. It wasn't the most popular opinion, but it is exactly what happened in the markets. And I'm seeing these same warning signs play out again. So I did want to warn my community who have been asking me, effortlessly over on Twitter, over on Discord, over on YouTube. I get requests at least once a week saying, hey, can you cover Jasmy? Can you cover Jasmy? Can you cover Jasmy? So this is what I wanted to do. I know a lot of people on my Twitter as well have been asking me to go and cover Jasmy. So I wanted to give you this warning sign, as I do see the market topping out right now, that I do think we're going to head down to this price target. Now, I want to wrap up on the tokenomics. Now, the tokenomics have got slightly better since I made a video about this Jasmy token supply 10 months ago. Basically, I'll leave a link to this down below, but if we head over to Etherscan, if you didn't know, Jasmy is not a coin, it's a token on the Ethereum blockchain. So we can look at the tokenomics on Etherscan, and when we do look at this, we can look at basically how centralized the holdings are. So what we're looking at is, obviously the max supply, the total supply of Jasmy is, this number right here. And with this, we're looking at basically, I'm just going to say, 50 for this one because I don't want to, you know, read out this entire number. So I'm just going to say, let's say the total supply is 50, and let's say, you know, when we're looking at this, the top 10 holders own 23 Jasmy. So basically they hold 46.65% of the supply. This coin is, this token is so centralized. The top 3 wallets own 30% of the supply. The top 5 wallets own 38% of the supply. The top 10 wallets hold almost 50% of the supply. This is a huge number. This is very centralized. That is not a good sign. Definitely not a good sign for decentralization. The top 25 holders hold 62% of the network. The top 50 holders own over 75% of the network. That is 50 people, less than 50 people, because you've got different wallets. For example, you've got Binance holding 2. For example, you've got 3 Binance wallets down here. You've probably got more. You've got 4 Binance wallets. So, you know, in general, when we're looking at the top 50 wallets, you've got 5 Binance wallets down here. You're really looking at less than 50 people, less than 45 people owning over 75% of the supply. That is extremely centralized and not good for the network. When you look at the top 100 holders, less than 100 people own over 82% of the network. After you get into higher numbers, it's not as big of a deal, but still, you know, coming into like something like the top 500 people in the network own 91% of the supply. Really, I find the most worrying metric over here is that the top 25 people alone hold 62% of the supply, and 10 people alone hold almost 50% of the supply. That is extremely centralized. And while in my honest opinion, once again, I know this is not what people want to hear, Jasmy is not my favorite project. I don't believe this really is something that I want to buy. There's definitely a lot of other projects that I do want to buy other than Jasmy. And also, if you didn't know, if you don't watch my channel, I don't trade small market cap altcoins. So I'm not going to be longing this. I'm not going to be shorting this. I'm not going to be buying this. So I'm really presenting this video from a completely unbiased perspective. And you do have to bear in mind, the only bias that I would possibly have, the only thing I have to benefit from making these videos is views. And if I wanted to make more views, I would say, hey, Jasmy's gonna 100x, but I'm giving you the opposite opinion. That's gonna get less views, that's gonna get more dislikes, that's gonna get less subscribers. But with this is completely unbiased. I'm not the biggest fan of Jasmy. I think the tokenomics are very worrying. The only thing I'd say that's good about it is the tokenomics. The tokenomics of this project are pretty solid. Other than that, and when I say tokenomics, I mean the circulating tokenomics. The tokenomics in terms of the holding distribution is very worrying. So all in all, I see a lot of worrying signs about Jasmy, but nonetheless, I wanted to come out as a lot of people have been asking me, what are my thoughts on Jasmy? My thoughts are pretty much the same as 7 months ago. I told you a 70% drop was coming, and now for the markets, I think about another, where were we on this chart? I think another 85% drop is coming for Jasmy. So, like I said, just wanted to present you with my opinion. That's all I've got for this video. As always, if you do want more of these Jasmy videos, if you do want more of my TA, even though it's not my favorite project, if lots of people want me to cover this, if lots of people comment and say, hey, can you cover this in the future? If it gets good traction, I will consider covering it. So if you enjoy my content, my friends, let me know by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. Also, make sure to come and follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy, and come and join the Discord. If you head over to my YouTube, click on the About section, you can see my Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and official merch. All of my official links are linked to my channel. But for today, that's all I've got. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.